take a couple minutes just to talk about the University of Washington football team. I think they're still at about number 6 in the AP polls.
Yep.
They played Colorado over the weekend, and I got to the game at about halftime. Like I said, I'd gone to the fair, got to the game at about halftime, and it was somewhat close, and then UW kind of broke it open.
Yeah. Well, the first half, really, the Dogs struggled across the board, and you did tune in at a good time because they really did pull away in that second half. Some highlights from the game: Miles Gaskin had 27 attempts for 202 yards. Jake Browning was 11 for 21, 160 yards, 1 touchdown to 1 interception. So, like I said last week, this game was going to be a real test for the Dogs. With that being, Colorado made it to the Pac-12 championship last year, and the Dogs were able to handle them. But, every year is a new year. Dogs sent a bunch of guys to the NFL, graduated a bunch of people, so they had some turnover. But that defense came out and showed up again.
They did lose Chico McClatcher, though, to injury,
yes,
which
is just about to say
a little frustrating.
Disappointing news was the loss of Chico. I had the pleasure of playing against him in high school. That dude is a freak, super fast, super quick, and he was slated to be kind of that number 2 guy behind Dante Pettis. He is still eligible for a red shirt this season, so that would be able to retain him for another year if they decide to use that. But going forward, like you said, the Dogs are ranked number 6 right now nationally in the AP poll. The Pac-12 is doing pretty well. They got 4 teams within the top 25. USC number 5, UW number 6. Wazoo is number 16. They have a big matchup against USC.
It should be a fun
this
one.
Friday night at 7:30, and then Utah comes in at 20th. Coming up next for the Dogs, they got Oregon State on the road. Should be a little bit of an easier game.
Should be a cakewalk.
Yes, should be a little bit of an easier game. Oregon State has been down in recent years, so they should take care of business down there if they don't beat themselves. One thing that will be interesting going forward is, like we said, UW kind of pulled away and gained momentum, but it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if they did not gain that momentum, and it kind of would have became really a slugfest at that point because Colorado really they beat themselves. They had 3 turnovers, and the Dogs capitalized on every single one of those, I'm pretty sure. So it's still exciting. Conference play is upon us, and that's really when everything happens.
Yeah, it should be fun to follow the Huskies throughout the rest of the regular season. Seth, do you got anything to add to this?
I'm a little disappointed that they don't get USC this year in the regular season. That's one of the 2 Pac-12 teams that they don't get to play. I would assume that that's who they'll be playing in the Pac-12 championship should both those teams stay on their current courses. I'm not terribly surprised that they struggled a little bit in the first half in Colorado. Colorado's a tough team. They're well coached. And the thin air is always really hard to play in up there.
Good point. Yeah, I don't think the Huskies will be tested towards the second half of the season. I mean, like you said, they got Oregon State this weekend and then another. I don't know the schedule exactly, but I know that it's soft until they get to Stanford about a month or so from now. So.
Yeah, and that Stanford game going down the stretch, I think they play Oregon, Stanford. They have an off game, if you will, and then they got Wazoo. So, I mean, it will start to get more interesting towards the end of the year. Looking ahead to that Pac-12 championship, I don't know if USC is going to be in there because they haven't looked very good against teams that they have played so far. So that'll be an interesting story going forward to see how USC finishes.
It'll be fun to watch moving forward. All right, we got to wrap today's show up. I thought it was a really good one. We talked about some quotes made by the president on Friday. Then we moved on to the Mariners and told them to rest in peace because they're done for the year. Talked a little Seahawks. Talked about the culture that surrounds the Seahawks. I think it's only in question because they're losing right now. Once they get back on track, they'll get it figured out. And again, some more UW football talk.